Hi guys, and welcome to Wilde. Today we're here with Grace and Danger. Hi guys, how you doing?
Oh yeah, hello. Good. How are you?
Lovely to meet you for the first time. You have a new bass player. Let's start with introducing the newbie.
Hi, my name is Christian Silva, also known as Chris D, also known as Funky Bassman. I'm Grace and Danger's new bassist. I've known the boys for a while, but I had a band with them before, and now I've joined them again, and I'm really looking forward to adding a bit of funk to that rock blues, and just having some fun making great music. Really.
It's great that you've mentioned the add-in of the funk, because Aidan, I wanted to ask, for those who have not heard the band before, how would you describe your music?
We've only got 15 minutes, so this might be a challenging question. Oh god, it's a fusion of that sort of classic kind of bluesy rock sort of sound, but with that sort of 21st century sort of soulful, and as Chris says, that kind of funk edge to it. It's really hard to label us, because we'll write one track which will be, totally different to the next, and it just sort of happens like that. But there's always that kind of underlying kind of blues kind of grit to it, which tends to come from Rory over there, because his playing is very, very bluesy. So it's kind of blues mixed with a ton of other stuff that ends up sounding pretty
What gives you your sound, essentially,
Yeah.
that mix. Rory, where would you say your main inspirations come from?
Ever since I was a young boy, I really enjoyed listening to blues music. I was brought up with it as a kid. Even from things like even the Beatles as well, with their blues roots. Then as I grew later in life, I was always slightly different to a lot of my friends. They were into their pop music and things like that, and One Directions and Justin Bieber's and things like that. And I was sort of the outsider thinking, no, I like my Jimi Hendrix, my Stevie Ray Vaughan. So my main influences are, I would say, mainly Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, and even, some of the more modern blues players like Joe Bonamassa, Gary Clark Jr., and things like John Mayer and things like that. So yeah, it's got quite a wide variety amongst the blues sort of scene, because I also love my Delta blues with the Robert Johnson sort of days. I just connected to the blues very quickly as I started learning to play guitar, especially. So yeah, that's sort of where my history has come from with music.
And who is the one person you are listening to right now? They don't have to be even relevant to like the type of music you usually listen to or to the band, but I would love for each one of you to say the one person that you are listening to right now.
Oh, that's difficult. It changes every minute, literally. Literally. Do you want to go first? Because I need to think about it.
Who was the last person that you, whatever music platform you choose to listen to, who was the last person you remember?
Awesome.
I was literally jamming at the park and live streaming it. And I was, after that, I had, Spotify playing in the background, and I decided to listen to a bit of the Black Seeds. They're a sort of reggae soul funk band from, I believe, New Zealand. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's New Zealand. And they're very, very cool, very chill. I feel in tune with a lot of their vibe, especially, like I said, with the reggae and the funk. It's very, just chill. I like chill.
What about you, Aidan?
Recently, I've been listening to a lot of a band called Rival Sons.
Yeah, I love Rival Sons.
They're definitely one of my favourites at the moment.
Yeah.
I absolutely love those guys. So I like them. A band called Vintage Trouble from the States. We saw them live. They came to this great little venue in Bexhill actually a few years ago. And managed to catch. Yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
And that was a wicked gig. The vibe there was just like electric. The power that the frontman Ty, he's like I can only liken him to the 21st century James Brown.
Oh,
I actually agree.
He's this fantastic like sort of rock / sort of Americana soul band behind him. Like it's fantastic, really cool.
sounds awesome.
And probably another one is Gary Clark Jr. Another American cat, and his style of playing is like intriguing. The way he kind of moves around the guitar, and the way he sort of combines a lot of different genres. But again, he's keeping that sort of blues kind of underlying tone throughout what he does. Is brilliant. So yeah, those guys I'm really getting into. There's one other person I want to give a little shout out to, who is a guy called Michael Chapman. And I've literally only recently discovered about this guy. A friend of ours, John Coley, based in Manchester, another fantastic artist who you guys should check out. He was a good friend of his, and he died literally about this time last week. And the guy is phenomenal. I mean, he was about 80 odd when he died, but the guy was doing some stuff in the 60s, which was kind of like a mixture of sort of Cream and Led Zeppelin, that sort of thing. Really, really like sort of psychedelic, sort of rock sort of stuff. Really, really cool. And actually was on tour with our uncle, who we probably should get onto at some point. But and I didn't realise that, so I was like, I've got to check this guy out, and I'm glad I did because he's really, really cool. So yeah, those guys are cool.
And what about you?
And personally, I've been out into Lewis today, and I've bought myself some vinyl. I bought myself a Super Born vinyl, so I've been listening to a bit of that. I've also been listening to a local guy from the UK, a guy called Lawrence Jones. He's a new guy on the sort of blues rock scene, and I've actually been talking to him a little bit. He was signed with Roof Records. I'm not sure who's with now, but he's a young cat coming onto the blues scene. He's absolutely phenomenal. And he's got this sort of modern blues rock funk feel that we're sort of chasing. And yeah, he's brilliant. Who else? Been listening to some sort of YouTube stuff as well. A band called Scary Pockets.
Oh yeah, love a bit of Scary Pockets.
Yeah. Some of the stuff while I'm at work, they get me through the shift. You know what I mean? Like it gets to that sort of, you know, halfway through the day, and you think, God, I can't do this anymore. And then I listen to their music, and sort of gets me through the day. Some really cool stuff they're doing.
100%. Yeah, we've actually given them shout outs on Wilde before because they're fantastic.
Yeah.
So you guys are Eastbourne based?
We are, right. Little old town, yeah.
Lovely. So why don't you tell us, obviously Eastbourne and Brighton is kind of the closest place to Eastbourne, where you have the bigger venues and
yes.
a lot of music things happening. We are Brighton based. Tell us your favorite venues in Brighton.
Ooh.
any particular that doesn't matter how small or big, if there's any in particular that you enjoy seeing live music.
I always wanted to play. I've never had the chance to even visit, but I always wanted to play a gig in Sticky Mike.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, most of good Brighton venues have now gone under due to all sorts of reasons, and COVID included. And kind of speaking of COVID, now that things are up and running again, what has been your favorite thing about being able to play again? Because oh my gosh, we've finally been able to go and do the things we love again.
I'll say this one thing that's been absolutely brilliant coming out of lockdown is, I mean, one, just being able to see people again and interact with people, but also on the live music sort of side of things. Live music, I think, is going to make a massive comeback. I think people are absolutely desperate to see it again.
Oh, yeah.
Me and the guys, we played a gig last weekend, and we played in Kent, in Cranbrook. Big sort of festival that was going on around the area, and we were headlining the night. And we were playing in this little bar, well, more of a pub really. wasn't massive, but there must have been, I don't know, almost 100 people there. And just the feeling of seeing these people connect with you, feeling the music and like really being in the moment, it was magical. And feeling that feeling again of having the crowd in your hands and almost being able to control them with the music you're playing, with the energy that you're giving out, it was something that I've forgotten for a long time. And after all the lockdowns and everything like that, I felt myself again, and I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing again. You know, there's no feeling that you can replicate like that. The adrenaline that you get on stage, nothing can replicate that.
I think it almost feels like, I mean, I guess the closest equivalent to just being really high. I guess it's just like there is just this energy that you feel afterwards that it just stays for so long, and you just gotta like ride it out. And it's great. The feeling at the time feels amazing, but then you get this come down, and it's like, you know, when's the next one? I want to do the next.
I do just want to add though, one of the best things about a gig as well is after the gig, where you talk to the people and you learn people's stories and you learn about people's experiences over the lockdown, and you learn about how they felt finally being able to go out and do things again. That's something quite special, being able to talk to people and hear their experiences.
Yeah,
absolutely. I could not agree more. It's a very special event for both the performers and the people that come and watch gigs, and like you rightly said, Rory, I think live music is making a comeback, and people have realized how much they've missed it because they had to be locked away and not able to enjoy it. And sometimes that's what you need. You need something to be taken away for you to realize how much you need that. So do tell us, where can we see you next? What are your next upcoming gigs?
So the first one, although it's technically not our gig, but we will be there, and we are going to be playing some of our stuff. They're actually supporting. So a guy that I mentioned earlier, John Coley, he's currently on a UK tour, and his first date was this gig in Kent that we did 2 weeks ago now, something. And his last gig is in Camden at the Black Heart, and we will be kind of his backing band for that night. So he's doing a few of his tunes, we're doing a couple of our tunes. And there's a few sort of covers that kind of mean a lot to him as well. So it's been quite nice. He started and he's finishing his tour with us, which would be quite nice. So that's the next thing I think at the moment, which is October 6th.
And then a couple of gigs in November.
And then so we've then got a local show on November the 12th, which is also the day before the Off the Record Festival. And that's, I think, a place called the Emerald Bar. I think it's quite a new venue. I think it's opposite out here.
Irish.
I think it's like a brand new Irish pub, so it'd be quite interesting to go down there and see what the vibes like there.
And then obviously we've got
we obviously got Off the Record Festival on the 13th,
which we are very much looking forward to.
Really forward to that. It's our first time doing it because we got booked through it through Mike. Don't know how to pronounce his surname, Mike Queeg, whatever it is. So they would start, because obviously he has this radio show, New Music Saturday, and over lockdown, that was one of the cool things I think about lockdown. And there weren't many, but one of the upsides was the fact that you were stuck kind of isolated inside, and you had all this time, and if you had a computer or a phone in front of you, it was like, okay, well, I can't go out and play live. What's the next thing I can do? Okay, I'll do a bit of research, I'll do some networking. And because I wasn't out working at the time, I was like, okay, well, I'll do this. I've got some time. And actually, the amount of stuff that we got through doing that through lockdown was actually really interesting. But one of them was meeting him, was getting to know Mike, and they played more or less over across. It must have been about 2.5 months or something. They played like a track a week, ended up kind of playing the entirety of the album over the course of those couple of months. And the feedback was always really, really lovely. And they got this whole sort of Twitter sort of family centered around this radio show. And everyone was just so supportive, and there's this real sort of like community spirit around this radio show, and people be leaving other comments and saying, that sounds like that, and when are you next, when are you playing when everything happens again, sort of thing. So that's how we've kind of got through into the Off the Record Festival through Mike.
And hopefully the festival is also going to have that kind of a community feel where everyone just like a really nice a creative kind of a hub
Yeah,
where everyone can get to know each
Yeah.
other. And
Exactly. I think because you've also got bands coming from all around, haven't you, to this festival? So, and is it 2 days? I can't remember. Is it 2 or 1
I
or 2
think
days?
it's just one day, but it's a
Okay.
whole day. But there would be at least 3 stages.
Yeah,
So,
there is, yeah.
very big.
That's
And
one
tell
of
us,
the things
please.
I love about.
Apologies.
So I was just going to add a quick note that that's one of the things I love about the Brighton music scene is there's a very tight-knit sort of community. From what I can see anyway, from what I've experienced, there's a sort of quite closeness community vibe to the Brighton scene that I'm trying to bring a little bit into Eastbourne. I've always had sort of a vision of creating that kind of thing here. And, you know, I've gone as far as trying to collaborate with pretty much the best producers like in town, best records, best venues kind of thing. And, you know, it's, to be quite honest, it's not quite at the level of Brighton. And I don't know if it will ever be, but even if we have, you know, it's close of a community vibe that stuck, because after lockdown, one thing was obvious, that we all depend on each other if we want to keep the music scene alive, because yeah, because, you know, if we want to create a scene, you can't do that on your own. And like Rory was saying, that connection to the crowd is a big, you know, it matters a lot, is what I'm trying to say as well. And I find that gigs in Brighton, when I'm both in the crowd or when I've played, have that kind of vibe.
There's just a different energy, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a different energy to Brighton. That's why, you know, when I heard about this, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be a good gig, not just because of all the bands, but because of the type of event and where it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. We're so looking forward to it. It's coming close now. We're less than 2 months away, so it's
It's this year. I cannot believe we're in September now. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Time's going very quick. We'll be there before we know it. And just a couple of sentences. Would you please tell us what it is you're working on next?
Well, at the moment we're training up our new boy, Mr. De Silva over here, and hopefully once we're all sort of match ready, start writing for the next album. That is our main focus right now. We've got a couple little things in the pipeline to come up for our media sort of things, couple of videos possibly.
There's a few things that through, as I said, the whole sort of networking thing of last year, that ended up being quite exciting. One of those things is actually available to kind of look at and watch, and it was a live stream. That was the other thing that came out of the whole lockdown, was all these music and artists and doing these live streams that were really, really great. It was like the next best thing you could do whilst you couldn't actually go out to a gig. So we actually kind of had a professionally shot live stream thing at a place called Gunhill Studios, which is this kind of off the beaten track sort of thing over in just by Ninfield. And they've got this, it's like a kind of an estate. And then you can go into one of these buildings and there's this huge like film lot. It's massive. So we went down there, it was kind of mid the end of December, and I think we did a good evening there. And it was shot and edited, and it looks and sounds wicked. So that was kind of what we've been using to sort of send to people and say, you know, this is us kind of thing. So that's one of those things that we did. And there's a couple of other bits which we're not actually allowed to say anything about yet. But we're hoping that over the next, hopefully next year maybe, that kind of might come out. And
there'll be some interesting stuff coming up to look out for.
But the best way to keep on top of finding out what's happening with you guys is to obviously follow you on all your social media links, which they're all linked down below. All of Grace and Danger's links are down below, including the music as well. So please check them out if you haven't yet. But yes, thank you so much for today, guys. It's been really lovely to get to know you, and we're looking forward to catching up with you again at the festival.
Yes,
we can't wait.
Get down there, Off the Record Festival, 13th of November. No excuses.